For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. Israel's intensified its strikes on Gaza after 3 European nations announced they'll recognize Palestine as a nation state. That's Ireland, Norway, and Spain. Some 60 Palestinians were killed in Israeli strikes after Wednesday's announcement. Israel's blasting the recognition, Palestinians encouraging it. Eileen Alfandary reports.
Israel's extremist National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir made a provocative visit to the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound in East Jerusalem to issue his denunciation. His remarks appeared on Al Jazeera.
The countries that recognized a Palestinian state today are giving a prize to the Hamas commandos, to the murderers, to the abusers. And I say we will not allow even a statement about a Palestinian state.
At the United Nations, Palestinian Ambassador Riyad Mansour welcomed the recognition announcements. He said he hoped other European nations would follow suit.
This European wave, hopefully, will be followed by other waves. The support to the state of Palestine, its admission to the UN and recognition is taking momentum.
Belgium, Slovenia, and Malta may become the next to grant recognition to Palestine. Spain's prime minister said when Israel's war on Gaza finally ends, Spaniards will be able to hold their heads high and have a clear conscience that they stood on the right side of history.
Con la cabeza muy alta y la conciencia tranquila que ellos estuvieron del lado correcto de la historia.
I'm Eileen Alfandary.
The International Court of Justice says it will issue its decision to South Africa's request that Israel implement a ceasefire in Gaza, including the southern city of Rafah, Friday. House Republicans have summoned the leaders of Northwestern University, Rutgers University, and UCLA to testify about their handling of student protests against the war in Gaza. Specifically, Republicans are looking for what they say are concessions the universities like Rutgers and Northwestern gave to the anti-war protesters to end demonstrations on their campus. Northwestern and Rutgers reached agreements with student protesters around transparency of the university's investments in companies that profit off the war in Israel and considerations of divestment. UCLA has faced scrutiny over allowing counter-protesters to violently attack a peaceful student encampment. As campus police stood by, the campus police chief has been reassigned. The campus called on LA police to intervene, including officers in riot gear who used rubber-coated steel bullets on the peaceful anti-war encampment and snipers on university building tops. Democratic Senate Leader Chuck Schumer is bringing back a border security bill for a vote today, despite its failure in February, after Donald Trump told Republicans to block the bipartisan bill. Part of his campaign strategy is to run on a border crisis. Schumer, though, calls it the best chance to act on border security in decades. But some immigrant rights activists say the bill is a move backwards to Trump-era policies. Christopher Martinez reports.
Robin Barnard is Senior Director of Refugee Advocacy with Human Rights First. She says S. 4361, the Border Act of 2024, would do permanent damage to the U.S. asylum system and put vulnerable people at risk.
A yes vote on this anti-immigrant bill is a vote for historical betrayal of U.S. commitment to asylum and refugee protection.
She says the bill would codify an expulsion policy, take asylum decisions out of the courts, and reinstate funds for the Donald Trump border wall construction. Maribel Hernandez Rivera is the American Civil Liberties Union's Director of Policy and Government Affairs for Border and Immigration.
We are now completely capitulating to the right. We are completely copying the Stephen Miller approach and playbook. We're completely bringing back Trump-era policies and we're codifying them.
She says what's really needed is a legal path to citizenship for dreamers, farm workers, and people fleeing humanitarian crises. That is a big ask, given the narrowly divided Congress and election year politics. Blaine Bookey is legal director of the Center for Gender and Refugee Studies.
This also is not winning the administration any political points. Biden just can't out-Trump Trump.
Reporting for Pacifica Radio News KPFA, I'm Christopher Martinez.
Taiwan says it scrambled jets and put missile, naval, and land units on alert after China launched so-called punishment drills around the democratic self-governing island, which China claims. The drills come days after Taiwan sworn in its new president with the U.S. congressional delegation present in support. President Joe Biden is welcoming Kenya's President William Ruto to the White House today. Some Democrats have urged House Speaker Republican Mike Johnson to reconsider his decision not to invite Kenya's president to address Congress during his visit. A letter sent by California Congresswoman Barbara Lee notes Congress has hosted Prime Minister Modi of India, President Herzog of Israel, and Prime Minister Kishida of Japan during this Congress, failing to offer the same invitation to Ruto, risks sending the message African partnerships are less valued. And the families of 19 of the victims in the Uvalde Elementary School shooting in Texas have filed a $500 million federal lawsuit against 92 state police officers who were part of the botched law enforcement response that saw officers wait for more than an hour as a lone gunman locked himself in a classroom and killed some 19 children. The families say they also agreed to a $2 million settlement with the city, under which leaders promised better training for police. Attorneys for the families say there will be more forthcoming lawsuits. I'm Christina Onnested reporting for Pacifica Radio.